Why are we wasting time calling a G7 meeting? The G7 has rendered itself impotent in Afghanistan and indeed the region. No one there cares any longer what the G7 thinks. They will not take a blind bit of notice of its pronunciations. The time for the G7 to discuss what to do about Afghanistan has long passed. It had 20 years in which to have this debate, and even when the writing was put on the wall by the US's Doha peace deal with the Taliban in February 2020, not a single G7 voice dissented from the intended action of abandoning the country. The G7 met 2 months ago, as troops were pulling out. Afghanistan was not even on the agenda. No, a G7 meeting now will be nothing more than an echo chamber, virtue signaling Western values. This sorry saga began with the intent of foisting these same values on the people of Afghanistan. Bush and Blair were intent not just on getting rid of Al-Qaeda but on civilizing Afghanistan. Their method? Bomb them to hell and then put boots on the ground. Deliver to them our ideology and democracy down the barrel of a gun. It is a curious fact of Western foreign policy that we now voice concern over women's rights in the country but are responsible for over 240,000 of their dead civilians and a humanitarian crisis born out of the manner of our exit. So what is our ideology and democracy? What sort of system allows itself to ride roughshod over another sovereign nation, impose on its people our values, kill those that disagree, put the lives of our own people at risk, waste billions in taxpayers' money, have nothing to show for it in the end and yet have no one to hold to account? A principal architect of Afghanistan was Tony Blair. He is guilty of not just kicking off this mess but of bringing instability to the entire Middle East. This man should rightly have been brought to justice for the hundreds of thousands of people that have died as a result of his actions. Instead, his voice is as loud as ever, advising world leaders on what best to do, holding forth on our moral obligations and the importance of Western integrity. If our system is unable to bring him to justice, we cannot but have sympathy with those who are reluctant to adopt it. And as for Boris Johnson, our PM is so keen to deflect blame from himself. His answer is to invite China in to bring stability. China, this is a country with a proven track record of human rights abuses. Is he really going to ask them to police the Taliban? Huawei is not trustworthy enough to be embedded in our 5G network but he intends to rely on China to run the Near East? Apart from the fact that this is laughable in its irony, China does not need our invitation to take the lead in Afghanistan and, indeed, Pakistan. It will be licking its lips at the unopposed commercial takeover of the region. A massive step forward, at Western expense, of its Belt and Road Initiative. So what is the answer? It is refreshingly quite simple. First, get the hell out of the domestic politics of the region. The Prime Minister should cancel his G7 summit and instead march over to the offices of Liz Truss and Dominic Raab. They should be charged with immediately getting on a plane, foreshortening holidays if necessary, to Kabul and thence Islamabad. Their mission should not be to point a gun at the local regimes, not to threaten sanctions for bad behavior, not to distribute aid for good behavior but to establish as fast as possible commercial trading opportunities for the genuine mutual benefit of British and local businesses. Give Afghanistan and Pakistan a commercial incentive to work with us, and through commerce regain influence over these countries. We should not be throwing open the gates to China. We should, as global Britain, be taking this lead ourselves. We do not need American or any other cooperation to do so. We should just get on with it. Liz Truss is a proven pair of safe hands. She should be put front and center in our quest now to stabilize the region. It is the only way forward.